Students, professors, and community members took to the sidewalk this past Friday for the Climate March.
The Department of World Languages and Their Cultures held their first annual Speak-a-thon this Friday.
And we have pleasant conditions across Northwest Indiana temperature-wise. We'll tell you what to expect for the first few days of fall coming up.
We have that and more. This edition of 15 News at 5 starts right now. Thank you for joining me on 15 News at 5. I'm Colin Luft.
And I'm Blake Harms.
Valpo students, professors, and community members took to the sidewalks this past Friday for the Climate March. We sent Laura Muther, Jackie Sepulveda out to learn more.
I organized this event because youth across the globe, internationally, are marching today against climate change to raise awareness.
So the attention was brought to me by Dr. Julie Peller in the chemistry department because she wanted to see the Valparaiso community join in on this global effort, and due to limited time and resources, we decided to keep it on campus and garner support through the Valpo community.
I heard about it through a number of things, specifically through the chemistry department, as I'm a bio and chemistry double major.
While faculty were there to encourage students, like the entire point was that it was student driven, given the fact that they are the ones who realistically are going to be going off and having to tackle the challenges.
I guess what I would want people to know is that, especially as being like a youth, like the demographics of like university in general, we're the people that have the ability to vote and are still young enough to make meaningful change. And in our lifetime, we're going to experience the effects of climate change. So it's imperative that we do something about it, because it's not something that's going to happen past our lifetime, it's something that's going to happen within our lifetime. So we should really be the ones taking action.
To celebrate their new name, the now Department of World Languages and Cultures decided to launch a new annual event, the World Language Speak-a-thon. The Speak-a-thon is a team-based conversation contest open to students of all levels. Using their team's language, they partake in conversations and games with each other. Students can come and go as they need, and as long as there are 2 or more students there for a team, they will earn points. This year, there were 5 teams competing in French, Japanese, Chinese, German, and Spanish. The department aims to add more languages next year, including Arabic, Italian, and American Sign Language. The Department of World Languages and Cultures hopes to bring students, faculty, and staff, and administrators as well, together to make connections with each other and to share a simple conversation.
Are you thinking about Lincoln? Well, if so, save the date for Tuesday, October 3rd at 7 p.m. Dr. Alan Gelzo is the nation's leading Abraham Lincoln scholar. This lecture will be located at the Duesenberg Recital Hall.
Well, before you leave for fall break, don't forget that the Office of Inclusion and EverFi's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion training is due for all students by Friday, October 11th. This is an online course and it only takes an hour or 2 to finish. If you don't have the time to do it in one go, you can save your progress and come back to the same spot at a later time.
This week kicks off Valpo Homecoming 2019. This year's theme is Going for the Gold. There are many events across campus for everyone to get involved in. All week, the Gold Rush Supply Drive is collecting donations for Hilltop Neighborhood House. Donations can be dropped off in the Student Org Suite. And tomorrow afternoon in the ballrooms is the Heart of Gold Blood Drive, which is partnered with the American Red Cross. During the Crusader kickoff Friday night, the homecoming court will be announced with the crowning of the homecoming royalty during halftime of Saturday's football game against Charleston. Following Friday's celebrations, the homecoming fireworks will light up the South Chapel lawn at 8:30 p.m. And we have 15 at 5 meteorologist Blake Harms in the studio today to tell us about this fall weather on the first day of autumn. So Blake, how long till we get those cool, crisp autumn temperatures?
Well, Colin, we're going to see the first glimpse of that tomorrow night, but overall, we're going to stay relatively warm compared to seasonal averages. Beautiful conditions out here, sunny skies in Valparaiso. We had a cold front pass through yesterday that has since settled down, and we've settled down into pleasant conditions here across northwest Indiana. 74 in Valparaiso, 70 Michigan City, 71 at O'Hare. Beautiful conditions across the board. Low to mid 70s. We'll see those temperatures gradually tick up through the next few days as we head on through the week. Notice our dew points have come crashing down in the last 48 hours after that cold front passed through off to our east. We've seen much drier air settle into the region. That has allowed for those clear conditions. For tonight, 54 degrees. Tomorrow, 79. Coming up, we'll take a full look at that forecast and how homecoming weekend is shaping up.
Thanks, Blake. On Friday, protesters from around the world came out to raise awareness to the dangers of climate change. And a man drove through a mall in Schaumburg, Illinois.
Spark a new idea. Spark a desire to learn. Spark a passion for exploring the field of STEM as we go beyond the final frontier and explore the latest in virtual reality and artificial intelligence. We will play with robots and maybe make a mess or two. For the show keeping you up to date on everything in the world of science, technology, and innovation, join us Friday evenings at 7 p.m. on VUTV Channel 15 or online at valpovutv.org/sparked.
It's been dubbed one of the biggest days of climate demonstrations in history. Amongst the protesters, children. They say they came out to fight for their future. Reed Binion reports.
Streets across the U.S. Europe and Asia, filled with millions of protesters, all taking part in a massive climate change strike.
The real emergency is the climate crisis, but it's not just climate change, it's our attitude towards it.
A vast turnout of old and young.
This is something I really need to be thinking about, something I really need to be acting on.
That's why we're here, the kids, because it's actually in the long run going to affect us and the next generation, and not just your generation.
The driving force behind all of this, 16-year-old Swedish environmental activist Greta Thunberg. Last year, Thunberg began staging weekly protests outside the Swedish parliament.
Why should we study for a future that is being taken away from us? We need to do this now.
The protests come days before world leaders are set to meet at the UN for a much-anticipated climate summit. I'm Reed Binion reporting.
Well, this is not the scene from the Blues Brothers in which they drove a car through a busy mall, nor is it Mall Cop, but this is the real thing and obviously extremely dangerous. A 22-year-old man drove an SUV through Woodfield Mall in Schaumburg, Illinois on Friday. Police say he drove through a mall entrance and drove around inside. 2 off-duty police officers detained the driver until police arrived. No one was hit by the vehicle or directly injured from it. A few people were treated at the scene and 3 others were taken to the hospital for minor injuries. The mall was closed down as police investigated. Police say the incident was not pre-planned by the man and may have been the result of a medical issue.
Are we really alone out there? People went to Nevada to investigate Area 51.
There are many more people here at Alien Stock Day 2, but still a far cry from the 30 to 50,000 people some estimates were putting the turnout at, but still a long way until Alien Stock is over. From the air, it's a view of a party that this tiny community in the middle of the Nevada desert has never seen before.
I think they're silly. They say they can't stop us all, but come on, I mean, really, you're gonna try to storm a top secret classified military base? I think it was just a gimmick just to get up here.
This trucker was just passing through, and the crowds in the middle of nowhere got his attention.
From what I'm seeing online, there's supposed to be more people coming up tonight.
The makeshift town of tents, campers, and RVs had to spring up because there's simply no hotel rooms within miles.
We've been talking about it for months. We put it on our board at work, and last night we decided what the heck, let's do it.
Some folks spent the night in shorts and some shivering, not expecting the desert or alien stock to get so cold and windy.
Yeah, last night I was getting jokes because I was walking around in shorts and everyone was freezing and they were like, oh, he's from Canada.
The dusty desert was also whipped up by the winds, and event organizers trying their best to help control Mother Nature. And day 2 winding down, but still a full day of music ahead. I'm Joe Bartels reporting.
Well, when in Nevada. Meanwhile, the nation's largest retailer says it's not going to sell electronic cigarettes anymore. Walmart made that announcement on Friday as the number of deaths and illnesses related to vaping continues to grow. The company says it decided to act due to uncertainty surrounding how federal, state, and local governments may start to regulate the products. Walmart will continue selling the devices it currently has in inventory. The decision also applies to the company's Sam's Club stores. The retailer made a similar decision earlier this month when it announced it would no longer sell handgun ammunition.
And one California man's 15 minutes of fame just keeps going on and on. His puzzled reaction is famous online all over the world. However, he admits he himself is not. Even so, he's harnessing his modicum of claim to fame for a good cause. Wilson Walker has the story.
I wasn't even the focus of the video. I mean, he was playing a video game, and I was just kind of next to him.
Purely natural.
Purely natural, yeah.
It was December of 2013 when Drew Scanlon sat down for that video game stream. It would be another 4 years before the gif of his puzzled reaction conquered the universe.
It was when people in our audience were saying, my mom just sent me this gif. She has no idea who you are.
So what is it like to have your face become the global vernacular for what the...
It was cool on one hand, but on the other hand, it's a little scary because at that scale, you realize that it's sort of out of your hands.
Out of his hands and shared through the hands of hundreds of millions of people around the planet, and almost none of them have any idea who he is. Do people ever recognize you?
I've only been recognized as the guy in the GIF one time.
I look at it and I think that's someone I should know. Like it's an actor from something that I can't quite place.
Yeah, people say Carrie Elways a lot, Michael C. Hall.
And it's just you.
And it's just me. It feels like it's not really mine. It feels like it's the property of the internet, right? Because they're the ones that made it into what it is.
But this morning, Scanlon changed course a bit with his rare kind of anonymous fame, hoping to raise money for the Waves to Wine bike ride for the National MS Society.
This year, I decided to, I guess, come clean to the internet and say, this is me. If you've ever had any joy from this GIF, please consider making a donation. And so far, that has really, really helped.
And that request has already raised several $1,000s. Just another contribution from the man behind the meme for stunned, shocked.
Surprise. I like incredulous. I think that's probably the most apt descriptor.
Coming up after the break, Blake Harms will have your full forecast.
And we'll also take a look at this past week's Crusader sports. Stick with us.
Knock, knock.
Hey, Blake.
Well, hey there, Sophie. Why the long face?
There's nothing good on.
Well, have you tried movies.valpo.edu?
Movies.valpo.edu?
It's free, and you can stream hundreds of your favorite movies like Baby Driver and A Star is Born.
Thanks, Blake. I don't know what I'd do without you.
Wait a second. I knew I was sitting on something.
Well, it's a beautiful afternoon here in Valparaiso, here on the campus of Valparaiso University. Sunny skies. We had a cold front pass through yesterday. That has brought about very clear conditions here across the region. First day of fall today, along with that pleasant conditions for the next few days, we will start to see a chance of rain on the increase, especially later this week. Right now, 74 degrees in Valparaiso, 70 Michigan City, 73 in Gary. Across the board, low to mid 70s. That'll be the case for the next few days, although we'll gradually take up a degree or two each day. In terms of 24-hour temperature change, notice where that cold front passed through a bit later, they're still dealing with cooler temperatures than what they saw yesterday. Meanwhile, off to our west, they're starting to warm up a bit. We're right in the middle. We will see those warming temperatures gradually throughout the week. Notice how much drier our air mass is. 47-degree dew point here in Valparaiso. Compare that to 68 on Saturday morning. As soon as that front pushed through, now we're dealing with very dry air across the region. Speaking of which, rain totals underperformed here in Northwest Indiana. They got quite a dumping in parts of the Chicagoland area. Kirkland, the grand total of 3 inches, just over 3 inches. Here in Valparaiso, we saw just over a tenth, so certainly a bit underwhelming, but thankfully we didn't have to deal with much flooding. Radar is quiet around the region, not much to report there. Chance for severe weather today. Highest threat is actually over in Phoenix. Don't see that too often here in the Storm Prediction Center map. As we head through our future temperatures, tonight will be the coldest of our next 7 days. We'll get down. Some areas could see a low near 50 degrees. Otherwise, by the time most folks are waking up tomorrow morning, we'll see temperatures near 60. Throughout the afternoon, we'll see temperatures in the mid-70s across the board. 73 here by the commute home tomorrow night. Wednesday morning will be quite warmer than it will be on Tuesday morning. Low temperatures more in the low 60s. We're back up to the upper 70s come Wednesday afternoon, and that trend continues throughout our 7-day forecast. Tonight, 54 degrees, mostly clear skies. Tomorrow, a few more clouds than what we saw today. Still a high of 79. As we take a peek at that 7-day forecast, quiet for our first few days. Notice these temperatures here in the upper 70s, but as we head closer to the weekend, we'll have to watch that chance for storms, especially get closer to homecoming weekend. Not to say it'll be storming the whole time, but certainly something to watch there. You know, not a lot of wiggle room with the homecoming football game and all the festivities going on, so certainly something to watch. But overall, you know, it's the first day of fall, but you wouldn't quite know it. Temperature is still quite pleasant.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're officially into fall now, but these temperatures still looking like summer.
Yes, they are.
Well, thanks, Blake. After the break, we'll have a recap of this past week's Crusader sports.
Have you seen Jack? I don't know how to tell you this. I saw him, but he was with Tracy. They were watching movies.valpo.edu.
What were they watching?
It's impossible to say. With 100 titles from Get Out to Riverdale, they could be watching anything, anywhere on campus for free.
This week in Valpo Sports, we start with the women's golf team setting the program record for a 54-hole team score at the Loyola Fall Invitational. Along with the tournament, Kayla Kruger set the individual program record for a 54-hole score. In men's golf, Charlie Toman and Garrett Willis finished in a 3-way second at the Crusader Collegiate. Great work to both teams in their action this week. Volleyball was in action at tournament this weekend in South Dakota. They won their first game against South Dakota State, but lost in their second match to Kansas City. Women's soccer fell to Colorado State on Friday night with a final score of 3-0, while their game Sunday against UIC was postponed until Monday night at 7 p.m. due to weather. The football team fell to Truman State on Saturday with a score of 7-38. Men's and women's tennis were both playing on Saturday. Women's tennis had 3 singles and 3 doubles wins, while the men's team went 6-3 in the singles.
Valpo football, not up to a great start this season.
No, they're really not. Are you guys trying to go out to the homecoming game this weekend? Maybe they can pull against
Well,
Charleston this weekend, hopefully with all the alumni coming in.
As long as it doesn't storm, we'll see.
Yeah, you better keep us updated with that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, before the homecoming football game, actually robotics football game that morning.
Oh, yeah, they are. Where's that at?
It's in Hilltop Gym, 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
All right.
Well, thanks, Nick. After the break, Blake will have a final look at the weather.
Last peek at those rainfall totals from this weekend. Notice totals here in Northwest Indiana were relatively underwhelming. Fortunately, we missed out on a lot of flooding, In terms of current temperatures, 74 degrees in Valparaiso, low to mid 70s across the board. 7-day forecast, a nice few days ahead before we head to the weekend. The weekend, however, start to see those storm chances increase. Homecoming game, not to say it'll be storming the entire time, but it's the risk is too great to leave that chance out. So Friday through Monday, we'll hang on to those chances for storms. So certainly something to keep an eye on this weekend. A lot going on campus, so certainly a lot of implications there.
Definitely. Well, great thing that the football field has turf, so hopefully if there's not lightning, they can play through it.
Yeah.
May not be pleasant for the fans out there, but
I know I'll be there this Saturday. I hope you guys are too. 'Cause,
of course.
I'm going to enjoy my time no matter what.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know the football field, the lights were struck with by lightning a few weeks ago. Hopefully we don't have a repeat of that. I know they got the lights back up and working. So
Definitely.
yeah, lots going on campus too. Not just the football game, lots of alumni events. We'll be having one here at VUTV, so lots of chances for alumni to get involved too.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, from all of us here at VUTV, thank you so much for joining. Have a great homecoming week, and we'll see you next Monday on 15 News at 5.